Welcome to We Can Grow Mondays. It's a lovely, beautiful Monday. A touch of rain in the air. Maybe we'll have a rainstorm, and that's always good. So thank you for joining us again. And we're here with our good friend Rich, Humble Rich, and myself, Myron, from the green side. And today we're going to be talking about rosin, dabbing, and this beautiful new LTQ rosin press. So without further ado, let's move over to Humboldt Rich over here, and we can start to understand a little bit more about what is a concentrate. So Rich, let's understand a little bit more about concentrates.
Yeah, concentrates, as the name suggests, is the hunt for more concentrated marijuana in different forms. So what this means is the THC content is a lot higher in a concentrate or a dab, as people would say, as a traditional, combusting a marijuana full joint.
So people are talking about dabbing and dab this and that, but in a way, isn't dabbing the act of consuming a concentrate?
Yeah, I mean, if we wanted to get technical, dab would be a verb, so it would be the act of consuming the concentrate, yeah.
So what we're really talking about here is taking flower or weed, but this is let's say a child-friendly show, only children over 18 to watch. And we don't talk about weed, we talk about flower. So this is an act of taking flower and turning that flower into a concentrated cannabis. Is that right?
Exactly, and it really has taken traction worldwide. The traditional time or number for smoking was always 420, and now that dabs or concentrates are around, they've changed it to 710. Because if you think about it, 710 is oil upside down.
Okay.
So the new dabbing time is at 10 minutes past 7, and the smoking time is at 20 minutes past 4.
Okay, so you can get your 10 past 7 both in the morning and the end, and line it up like that. I
Exactly.
guess.
So it's great. You can have your full spectrum of concentrates to flower during the day, and yeah, like we said, it's just become very popular just because some people want to shy away from the actual act of smoking and polluting their lungs.
So you've hit on something really big. It's this act of, how much can you actually smoke? We all love cannabis, but you just can't smoke all the time, especially as you get a little bit older. So hence we're moving away from smoking over to vaporizing and bonging and different ways of taking a concentrate. Okay, so here we are with this LTQ vapor machine. Let's just bring it a little bit closer to you. You can have a quick look at it and see. This machine is a rosin press. It's from LTQ Vapor. It's basically hitting the market here in South Africa by storm. You can get it at any good cannabis grow store, but if you come down to the green side, we'll make sure we beat any other price in the market. So come down and grab it from us. Also, as we'll show you later, we can offer you a service, but we'll talk more about that now. So let's actually move over to you, Rich, and show us what's happening with this.
Cool. So as Myron mentioned, this rosin press over here is from LTQ Vapor. Really interesting little vaping machine. You can see it's smaller than the traditional presses that you see out there, and also it's considered in the budget range just because of the lower price point it has in comparison to the other competitors.
And we're looking at anywhere between, I guess, 4.8 and we've seen it between 4.8 and about 6, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So, a really good price for the technology that it offers. So if we just go through, kind of the surface of it, it's called the King of Powell, or the KP1. It's their new generation rosin press. You can see it's got the jack on here for the pressure. It's got the release valve over here, and it's got your 2 temperature gauges, one for the top plate and one for the bottom plate. And then it's just got a simple power plug that you plug into your wall, and then you've got your on switch at the back. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and flip this on.
Very important. We know you take a lot of cannabis, just flip it on.
Nice and easy. Okay, so you'll see it lights up, with these 2 green lights. As I mentioned, the top one controls the top plate and the bottom one controls the bottom plate. If you just click on the arrows, you can see the current temperature it's on. This is at 180 degrees Fahrenheit. So, for us here in South Africa, that's 82 degrees Celsius. Now, just talking about the heat quickly, I see a lot of different conflicting information online as to what heat you need to be pressing it, etc. Even, LTQ recommend pressing it at 200 or 220 degrees Fahrenheit, which in my opinion is actually way too hot. So my sweet spot to press it in is at about 180 to 185 degrees Fahrenheit.
Because if you get the heat wrong, you're going to just really just burn all that great bag.
Well, yeah, essentially what it does is it just changes the color to a more darker scale, you know, to more of a treacle brown, as opposed to, you know, like a caramel that we want. So yeah, so we just let it heat up. You can see it's busy heating up here. You can see the top one's on 99, going up to 100, and it'll keep on climbing. So usually it takes anywhere from about 3 to 5 minutes to heat up, just depending. Cool, so if we have a look at the process, it's pretty straightforward. You know, we need a few little things. You can see our machine's actually heating up here, 174 degrees Fahrenheit on the top plate currently, and 173 on the bottom. So while that's going, we'll just start with the process. So over here, you see we've got destemmed, and there weren't any seeds, but if there were seeds, you'd take the seeds out too. But destem, you know, flour, just so that you don't have any of the sort of stalky taste after you press it.
And indoor, outdoor, does it make a difference?
Yeah, it would make a difference to the end result. So, but I mean, you could still do an outdoor.
But I guess if it is an indoor, it might have a higher resin due to higher THC content.
Definitely, yeah. And also different consistencies of flour will yield different amounts. So always best and recommended to try and do it, you know, 3 to 5 days after you've harvested and cured your flour, just because then your color is better and your yield is better. Gotcha. If you wait a little bit longer, sometimes you have a diminished yield. Cool, so we've got our flour over here that we've destemmed, like I said, and then we've got two very important things. First, we've got our rosin bag, or our extract bag that actually holds the flour and makes sure that none of the matter escapes into our parchment, which is basic wax paper or baking sheets. It's non-bleached, non-colored, and all natural, just so that we don't have any, you know, harmful toxins going into our bodies. So basically, bag here.
Kind of similar to a big tea bag, I guess?
Exactly. So this one's a 45 micron one, and the dimensions are there too. It's a 7.5 centimeter by 12.5.
So as far as I understand, when you got the machine, all the hardware comes with it?
Yes, so in your box, you do get a set of baking sheets, you get a set of rosin bags, you get a little dab tool, which just helps you to extract off the paper. And
then all the spares, when you need them, you'll be able to come into store and we'll have them in stock.
Of course, yeah. So there's two different ways to fill this bag. First of all, some people do have a pre-compressor that they compress the flour into, you know, kind of like a chocolate bar shape, and it just slides into the bag, and it does increase your yield size just because of the density of the bag. But for now, what we're going to do is we're just going to insert the flour into this bag like such. So we get it in there. And you can use as much as you like, you know. I've used up into a bag this size, about 15 grams.
And I think you got about 5 grams there or so?
Yeah, I'd say about 7 or 8 grams over here. So I've got 7 grams in here. So you can see it's not too much. You don't need to fill it up. You can. Obviously, the more you fill it up, the more you're going to press. So once it's in there, what we want to do is we kind of just want to compress it to as much as we can, just so that it's all nice and close together, and it just limits the surface area that the bud actually takes up.
And you've destemmed it, and if you found any pips, you depipped it.
Exactly.
But you haven't pulled it apart, so it's all still together.
Exactly, yeah. We don't want to break up or lose too many of the trichomes, so don't grind it with a grinder. Just break it up in your fingers. Use some gloves if you want to, and etc. So you can see what I'm doing now is I'm just kind of folding it, and I'm just kind of pushing it together just to make kind of a compact brick. And we're pushing it together, and we'll just wrap it over twice, like that. Okay. So what we've got now is we've got our flour in our rosin bag. You can have a look at that.
I can see it a bit, so it's about so much, about an inch, and it's quite nice and thick.
Yeah. So nice and sturdy. So what we'll do now, you can see that our machine's about 179, so we've got 1 degree to go, just till we reach our optimal temperature. And then what we'll do is we'll open up the wax paper. Now, if you have a look at the wax paper, it's actually pre-cut to fit perfectly inside here. So if you I'll just show you, fits perfectly in there with a little bit of overhang on each side, just to collect any of the concentrate that may ooze off of.
So there's a wax paper here to catch any of that extra concentrate that might disappear.
Exactly. Well, it's actually to catch all the concentrate. Okay. So the bag is to hold the flour and to separate it from the concentrate.
And you're left with your rosin will be on the actual wax paper.
Exactly.
I see.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we've got this folded over. We're going to insert inside the wax paper just like that.
And can one use regular wax paper you're buying in the hardware in the supermarket, or is it a specific kind of wax?
No, as long as it's unbleached, you should be fine. And cook like food grade, then you should be fine. Okay, so you can see our machine's sitting at about 179 degrees. So I'm just going to turn it up 2 degrees, just so that it will go up. It regulates itself as it goes up, so sometimes it drops.
So you saw what Richard did there. Just using the second button, you can set the temperature you want it to be, and then the machine will go up to that temperature.
Yeah, but like you can see, I've actually currently got it set to 182 degrees, but it regulates and it drops it to about 179. So you can see you need to go a little bit over, about 2 to 3 degrees over the desired temperature, just to get your smack bang. Yeah. So we're about 178. I'll turn that up to about 183, and this one up to 183, and that should get us to 179, 180 mark, and then we're fine. Cool, so we've got our paper. You can see our machine is heated up nicely. We're sitting on 180 and 181 degrees Fahrenheit, top and bottom plates. Got our wax paper, we've got our rosin bag folded nicely so that the flour cannot escape, and we're ready to insert it. So we put the rosin bag in the middle of the wax paper, pick up the wax paper nice and carefully. Actually, before we do that, something I like to do is just to actually pump up the plates to get them closer together, so we're not trying to, fiddle with this with such a big gap. Make sure your release valve is turned all the way to the right hand side, and then you're just going to gently pump, see? Not too strenuous, and you just want to get it so that that will fit nice and snug without us having to, pump it all the way up there. So we'll just keep doing that. Just make sure the release valve is there. So when you're about that height, you're perfect. So what we're going to do now, we're going to slide the parchment paper in. Now, in terms of the baking paper, you can do directional folding, which does work. And I'll just force the liquid out one side. But I like to leave it open just so that, the liquid can go where it wants to go, essentially.
And I have heard of some people actually using hair irons, grabbing the sister's hair iron and turning it into a rosin press.
Definitely, back in the day, those were some of the only methods we had, so we had to do it. Okay, cool. So now we're ready. We're going to gently just continue jacking it up, and we're going to apply pressure. You can see it's getting tighter and tighter. And you kind of just keep cranking until you can't crank anymore. It gets tighter, and we keep going. Final one, and there we go. So now, optimal time to leave it in about 40 seconds. But you can kind of experiment with it and just see different yields. And just, like I said, different times will also influence the color of it, the taste of it, etc. So we'll give it about 40 seconds now. We'll just watch it on the phone. And then we'll release the pressure and see what we've yielded.
See what came out.
Yeah.
So it looks like we're around 40 seconds.
Yeah, we're 40 seconds into it now. So what we're going to do is we're going to slowly release the pressure and bring it down. So what we'll do is you just turn the lever to the left, and you'll see the pressure releases quite quickly. It starts coming down, and we'll turn the heat as soon as we get to the bottom. Cool, all the way down. Heat off. Just be careful, it is going to be a tad hot now, obviously. And you put it out. I like to use the one side just because it's not as hot as on these sides, either end. And then if you come in a little bit closer, camera lady.
It smells,
smells divine, doesn't it?
Really good.
And I'll just peel it back. Okay. So what you can see is here is our flour, and all over our bag, our rosin bag, and our paper are our dabs.
Right. So our concentrate is all that.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. So I guess it's all in the tasting now. Possibly tell everyone what we did?
Yeah, so what we did was, as you saw, I was scraping the concentrate off of the wax paper, and we just took it we're using one of our dab tools, which we do have. We've got a nice gold one. We've got these different shapes and sizes. Scrape it off and we put it onto the little crafty.
So in the crafty, which we'll talk about in a little while, there comes a little dab gauze or a little dab coil. You can put it on, and let's see what this tastes like. That's really sweet. Let's put this to slightly higher heat. Put the heat up as well. If you are using your crafty and you're going from flour over to a concentrate, we always recommend go to the higher heat setting. There is two preset settings on the Crafty, and then also you get an app that you can change your setting. And I never really realized where you're going to use all these different settings, but the minute you get involved with concentrates, hit it there. Let's see, you can go, Rich.
Cool. Let me have a go. Oh wow.
Yeah,
very nice terpene profile.
It's got this is actually a wedding cake.
Delicious. Cool, so we actually pressed it again for a second time, a little bit longer this time. It's about 1.5 minutes. And you can smell, still smells really nice.
Yeah.
I don't think we've lost much color either.
I mean, so it's all about, as you was telling me, Rich, it's all about the color.
Exactly.
You want this yellow color, you don't want this brown color.
Exactly. You don't want a dark color, you would like a lighter shade.
So we always want to err on the side of the lightness.
Exactly.
And that is your concentrates over there.
Correct. You can see the concentrate is all over there. It's also in the bag. So what we'll do now, while concentrate is hot, it's very, very sticky and very hard to, it's not malleable, right? It's not easy to handle. So what we do is we stick this in the fridge and let it cool down, or if you've got a little cooling pad, you can apply the cooling pad. And then, once it's a little bit cooler, we'll be able to easily scrape it off and then store it into one of our little dab holders over here, either the bigger one or the smaller one. But yeah, you can get any of these at the store too.
And we're going to try another round, but this time we're going to just see what it happens without the bag, and just stay with the wax paper.
Exactly. So what we're going to do now is we have one little, well, not little, but one nug of flour, and what we'll do is we'll put that in directly without the rosin bag, and we'll see the difference.
Cool. Looking forward to it. Let's check it out.
Cool. So over here we've got our nug. This is some Exodus cheese.
This is a good smell.
Really nice smelling.
Ooh.
Delicious, right?
Delicious again.
So we're gonna open our parchment paper, or sorry, our baking sheet, and we're just gonna take off the smaller nugs just from the main stem. But we won't break it up too much because, like I said, in this one, we're actually going to not use the bag, and we're actually just going to put the bud or the flour straight into the middle of the parchment. So you can see we've got our little grouping there, and there's our stem. We won't include the main stem. We'll fold it over. Now be careful, because it's not in the bag, it may fall out easily. So move it to the center of the paper like such. Hold both sides. Try not to shake. And then insert into the machine. Nice thing about these pre-cut papers is they're easy to slide in, otherwise you've got to keep cutting and changing. You just make sure all the bud is in the center of it. And we'll go ahead and we'll jack it up. And you want to jack it up as tight as you can. So I'll stand up for this. There we go. So that's about as much as it wants to press. See, we're a little bit higher now, 187 degrees Fahrenheit, 186, which is about 85 degrees Celsius. So we'll leave it now for about a minute, and then yeah, we'll see what our yield is.
Okay, so we look like just over a minute now.
Yeah, so a moment of truth, I guess. Let's go ahead and release the pressure. Try and do it slowly at first, then back down. Cool. Ooh, and the smell coming out of here, I mean, you can attest to it, it's amazing. Take it out.
Caramelly.
Yeah. Okay, come a little bit closer, and let's have a look. Oh, wow.
Okay, so there we're getting a little bit more of a
yield. Yeah, I would say that's at least twice the amount. And you can see the color, even though we haven't got in a bag, it's kind of separated. The plant matter hasn't really gotten in there much. And the color is still really nice and light. So, I mean, and just give that a whiff. I mean, it smells delicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess the trick is when you get your machine like this, you got to just play with it and find the right setting for you. And every time, based on how fresh your flour is and all of that, I guess you're going to have to learn.
No, exactly. That's it. Trial and error, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's just what's going to do it.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, should we talk about some of the other things we have on our table?
Definitely, yeah. So over here, this is probably my favorite piece that we have in the shop. It's a black leaf dab rig. And you can see that it's got a quartz glass nail on the top, or dab nail as they call it. Basically what you'd do is you'd heat this up with a blowtorch.
So you got a blowtorch lighter or a blowtorch, and you're just really putting in your dab inside there? Or?
Sure. So first you'd heat this up till it's nice and hot. You know, you wouldn't want to touch it at all, and it would be inserted. So like such, you'd heat it up with the torch. Once it's reached its desired temperature, you'd then use your dab tool. You'd scrape off your dab.
We have these, and you've got two sides. You've got
Exactly.
a thin side and a fat side.
The fat side is usually for harvesting or scraping it together, and then your thin side is for your actual dab, because it's nice and precise and easy to get into the
So you would
center.
take some of this dab over there.
Scrape some of that, and once it's heated up, obviously got water in here, fill it up, and you then heat it on there. So you put it into the center of it, and you kind of move it around. Because if you look closely there, you'll see there's actually a small hole that leads to the down pipe, and that then bubbles through the water.
Right. And the thing about this, even though there's water, there's no direct combustion heat.
Exactly.
So when you're combusting at 1,000 degrees, but when you're doing any form of vaporizing, 160, 170 degrees. So again, it's far healthier for you. So the people who love their bongs and love the bong culture, possibly look at something like this, that you're using these new devices, and we do sell a device like this from Blackleaf that you can put onto your actual bong. So there is a standalone unit like that can go to any bong.
Exactly, yeah. So it makes it really adaptable.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Okay, so before we end, we've been talking to you about vaporizing. This little device here is the Crafty. Basically, I'm taking a lid off over there. If you come in and look neatly, there's a small little steel wool gauze coil that you're putting your dab on. You also get a nice little container to put your flour. Your flour goes in there. It's an atomizer. It's the exact right amount. That will then go into this unit. Then you put it over there, and that's the other way around. Put it like that, and that's your unit. You then heat it up to the desired temperature, and there you go. So this unit is selling for around 4,800 Rand. This is a deluxe Crafty. It comes with some new additions. It's got some extra things in there, some grinders and other little bits and pieces. So if you are wanting to move over to vaporizing and you're looking for something that will help you both with dabbing or concentrates and with your flour, we really recommend the Crafty. And if you come into store, again, we'll give you a KVI, the known value item, and we'll give you the best price you can get in the industry. So see you again some other time, and thanks, Rich.
Yeah, thanks, Byron.
For another concentrated
We can grow.
We can grow, yeah. See you next Monday.